In Kana Bridge of Spirits, you play as Kana, who is a spirit guide. The game starts off with you falling into a cave full of mysterious lights and spirits walking around your path. Eventually, you come across a troubled spirit who warns you of continuing along your quest. He then disappears and leaves behind enemies that you must defeat. After defeating the enemies, you illuminate some relics which open up a door to the outside. Once outside, you make your way through the forest and encounter two children who are chasing around a small wooded creature called a rot. The two children notice you and run away, disappearing into thin air. You are then greeted by one of the rots who seems quite fond of you. The rot seems to notice some type of spirit energy flowing out of your hand and seems concerned. You then rummage up some additional rots throughout the forest while coming into contact with the children who seem to be running around in different areas. Once mustering up 5 rots, you end up at a dead zone heart, which is destroying the nearby forest. You send the rot onto the heart and they destroy it, which restores the forest around you. After doing a couple obstacles, you end up finding another enemy with your rot buddies. You learn that the rot are quite scared creatures and will hide at the start of a battle, and in order for you to get them to help destroy the enemies in the dead zone hearts, you must build up their confidence by attacking the enemies. Once your confidence meter fills up, your rot are more than happy to help you in any fight. After going through the ruins, you come across the spirit that you encountered previously who warns you of the power that flows through the land. He summons your first big enemy and disappears once again. After defeating the sprout, you clear away the poison and are finally greeted by the 2 children, Benny and Saya, who have been running away from you. We learn that the reason you are in these lands is that you are searching for the Great Mountain Shrine. The children agree to help you to the mountain shrine if you help them to find their brother, who has been lost in the woods. They lead you to their village, which is full of poison. You clear the village from the poison and meet Zaju at the MAKCE shrine. These masks are used to honor the dead, however not all spirits can travel this path alone. Some that are struggling with tragedies can linger on and become dangerous. Spirit guides such as Kana are called upon to help those who are trapped and cannot venture on to the next life on their own. You ask Zaju how you can get to the mountain shrine, who then tells you that you must help the spirits in the village before being able to go to the mountain. We learn that Kana's father is also a spirit guide, which is what made her become one. You are given Taro's mask, who is the brother of Benny and Saya, so that you can fulfill your promise to set Taro's spirit free. After venturing through the forest, Taro's mask guides you to a shrine that shows you a glimpse into Taro's past. You are shown that you must find 3 of Taro's relics to help him remember who he is. In order to find Taro's relic, you have to go find Rusu at the top of Rusu Mountain in order to learn more about the relics. You then start to ascend the mountain, climbing up cliff faces, jumping over gaps, and using the rot to help you cross a bridge, and eventually end up at Rusu's house. You take a glimpse into the past where Rusu is telling Taro that the forest has gotten too powerful and that he must return to the village before it's too late. After looking into the past, you find a way around Rusu's house by going underground and through a cavern. You ascend out of the cavern, and up on the hillside you find Rusu waiting for you. Rusu tells you of what the forest once was and that the mountain shrine lives on a cycle. Their village was struck by famine and the boy's parents did not make it. We then learn that Kana's father was the one that gave her the staff. Rusu then teaches you how to use your staff as a bow by drawing the power of the mountain. After learning how to utilize your staff to its full power, you now venture back to Rusu's house to free it of the poison. The house is guarded by a wood knight who uses a shield to deflect the shots of your bow. By using the rot to daze it, you shoot the weak points on the wood knight in order to take it out. And after defeating the wood knight, the rot get rid of all the poison and restore Rusu's house to what it once was. From a tree in front of Rusu's house, you find Taro's knife that Rusu made for him when he was a boy. This is the first of 3 of Taro's relics that you must get in order to find his spirit. The next relic is hidden within the Forgotten Forest. You restore the ancient shrines that open up the entrance to the Garden Tree. And once opening up the Guardian Tree, you are greeted by a Sprout Captain that you must defeat. The Sprout Captain is much like the Sprout, but wields 2 swords and is much stronger than the smaller variants. After defeating the Sprout Captain, you find Taro's book, which is the second relic you need to find Taro. You then go into a cave in the forest and have to defeat the Shrine Guardian. The Shrine Guardian is a fairly large enemy that you must stun with your rot in order to attack its weak spots. After defeating the Shrine Guardian, you find Taro's lantern within the body of the Guardian. Now that you have all of Taro's 3 relics, you can make it back to the shrine to find his spirit. You place all of Taro's relics onto the ground, and Taro's mask turns to dust as you see him emerge out of the front of the tree. His spirit is consumed and corrupted by the poison, and then you have to defeat the corrupted Taro in order to release his spirit. The corrupt Taro has some weak spots that you can focus on to do extra damage, and the spirit's main way of attacking is by dashing at you with its sword and then running around you followed by pouncing. And after defeating the corrupt Taro, you destroy the poison with the help of the rot, releasing Taro's spirit. You learn that the sickness that affected his parents was also affecting the entire village, that everyone in the village needed help. Taro went to seek help from Rusu in the forest with his brothers Benny and Saya, and Rusu told them to return to the village, and the 3 brothers were all on their own. While Taro was off gathering food one morning, the mountain shrine exploded, covering the land in darkness. The brothers were killed during the blast, but Taro was unable to reconnect with his brother's spirits. Now that the brothers are reconnected, their spirits can all rest in peace. With Taro's spirit set free, you return to the spirit shrine to honor him, and at the shrine, Zaju tells you of another lost spirit that needs help, an old woodsmith by the name of Adira. On your journey to find Adira, you find a spirit who knows of her and tells you that the two of them found a way to harness the energy from the mountain shrine. She tells you how to use your spirit energy to throw bombs that can levitate stone and activate old relics. By activating the old ruins, you open the door to find the woodsmith. You put on the mask, seeing flashbacks into her life. In order to help her, you have to find her relics just like you did with Taro. The first relic is her ox, which you have to destroy all of the surrounding poison to release. After clearing out the surrounding poison, Rufus the ox is set free, leaving you to go search the forge for the second relic. Atop the forge, you find the stone guardian that can only be damaged by throwing bombs at, exposing its weak interior. You then get the rot to attack its back after it gets weak and finish it off once its tough outer shell is destroyed. Once the guardian is destroyed, the forge is restored and you find Adira's hammer. To get the last relic, you head to the village heart underground. In this room, the heart is pulsing out deadly poison that you must navigate through to reach the heart. Once going through all of the obstacles, you destroy the heart, gaining the last relic. Once taking all of Adira's relics back, you must ascend to the top of the shrine to rescue her spirit. The corrupt woodsmith requires you to throw bombs at the center and then to explode the core, which weakens Adira. She attacks by emitting rings out of the fire of the ground by slamming her hammer, and by continuously destroying the core to weaken the woodsmith, she then gets enraged and breaks the hammer in half. At this point in the fight, Adira is much weaker and no longer relies on her core to attack. After defeating Adira, the rot help release her spirit, and then you see into Adira's memories, where her and Hana learned how to harness the power of the mountain. Hana left to go get resources but never returned. Adira and her ox worked on building a lighthouse to help Hana return home, and while atop the lighthouse, Adira sees a huge flying creature across the mountain, followed by the blast of the mountain that we saw before. Now that her and Hana's spirits are connected, they can rest. You return to the Shrine of MAKCE to honor Adira and talk to Zuju about the creature that you saw in her memories. Zaju then tells you about Toshi, the first spirit that you encountered in the cave at the beginning of the game, and that his spirit sits at the top of the mountain. You ascend to the top of the mountain to put on Toshi's mask to take a look into his memories. You see a vision of the creature followed by an explosion of the mountain, and Toshi's mask then burns to dust, followed by Toshi confronting you face to face. He breaks your pendant and sends you into the spirit realm. In the spirit realm, you see a younger version of yourself desperately looking for her father. You get your staff back from your younger self and reappear back at the MAKCE shrine. We learn that Kaina's reason for finding the mountain shrine is because after she lost her father, she wanted to find the connection between the mountain and the spirit realm so that she could somehow get closer to him. Zaju then tells you that Toshi is the one who created the destruction among the land by destroying the creature that you have seen in the memories. You learn that Toshi has hidden his relics in the spirit realm and that you must find them by traveling between the two worlds. The first path that you take is the hunter path, and at the end of the hunter's path you find the hunter. The hunter flies in the air and attacks with its bow, and it has multiple types of flurries that sends at you while it's in the air, and then dives down to attack you afterwards. It will also land on the ground and charge you with a combo of dashes, and the best way to defeat the hunter is by attacking it in the air, causing it to fall to the ground stunned. After defeating the hunter, you get the harpoon relic. And the next path you go to is the warrior path. The warrior path is full of obstacles that you have to navigate through and multiple spirit gates that you must dash through. At the end of the warrior path, you face off against the warrior. During the fight with the warrior, it charges you with its staff and shoots out waves of energy from the blade at the end. You defeat him by allowing him to miss multiple attacks, and then getting his blade stuck into the ground, allowing you to attack him with multiple strikes. After defeating the warrior, you are given the village crest, leaving you only one more relic to find. The last path you go on is the Mask Maker's path. In this path, you fight off numerous waves of enemies as well as navigate through multiple obstacles. At the end of the path, you face off against the Mask Maker. The Mask Maker can phase in and out of the spirit realm and shoots multiple different projectiles at you. He can also trap you in prisms and summon many enemies for you to fight. You defeat the Mask Maker by dashing into it whenever it's vulnerable, and after defeating the Mask Maker, you are given the final relic, the incense. You then take all of Toshi's relics back to the mountain shrine to summon his spirit, and you are confronted by the corrupt Toshi and begin to fight. Toshi has all the powers of the previous three bosses combined. He has projectiles that seek towards you, an explosion that you must spirit dash through to avoid the damage, and he can deflect your arrows back at you as well as your bombs. You defeat him by spirit dashing into him and shooting him with your bow from afar, and after defeating Toshi, you try to free his spirit with the rot, but they cannot overcome his power. He tells you of the danger of the rot, and that he tells you that he will show you their true nature. He possesses the rot and vanishes, leaving you all alone. You then follow Toshi to the top of the mountain shrine to put an end to this once and for all. At the top of the mountain shrine, Toshi uses the rot to create the corrupt rock god. The corrupt rock god has weak vital points that you must destroy to finish it off. And after getting the corrupt rot low, you are sent into the spirit realm to fight all the enemies that you have countered along your journey. After defeating each wave of enemies, you are sent into another realm with a new wave of creatures. These fights require much more skill as your rot are no longer with you to help in the beginning. And after defeating the second wave of enemies, you gain back a few of your rot friends to help with your fight. Once back against the corrupt rot, you attack its weak spots and are sent back into the spirit realm. This time you are tasked with a series of jumps that you have to perform to get out. And at the end of the obstacles, you gain even more of your rot friends and are sent back against the rot god. This time all the rot god's vitals are gone, and you must use your new rot friends to remove the spears in the corrupt rot god's back. After killing the corrupted rot, your friendly rot set its spirit free, and all of your rot friend are turned back into normal, and you finally confront Toshi's free spirit. You take a look into Toshi's memories, and he tells you of the history of the mountain shrine and that once it could not support the village, he grew angry and wanted to face the spirit himself. Saju tells him that the nature has to have balance and that the mountain shrine cannot go against nature, and Toshi ascends the mountain in an attempt to save the village and confronts the flying creature that we've seen in other memories. He attacks the creature and eventually kills it, which is what creates the explosion on the mountain and the beginning of the poisonous spread. Toshi and Zaju's spirits are now set free, and all that is left for you to do is to free one last spirit. At the top of the mountain shrine, you say goodbye to the rot who turned back into the rock god, connect with the spirits of the mountain, and the story ends.